All right, welcome back. Food with the fellas. We're in the home kitchen again, and it's still balls ass cold in Florida, so we're going to do another comforting soup. This is going to be like an Italian sausage potato soup. Let's see what we're working with here: onion, celery, carrot, little soy sauce, hot sauce. Those are just going to be little flavor enhancers. You're not going to really taste that. Just going to make things a little better. All right, let's get started. All right, we got our pot on medium heat. We're going to be browning up our Italian sausage. I'm keeping it on medium heat because I don't want to. I want to get as much of that grease left behind as I can without taking forever. Because we're going to be using that grease from that sausage when we put our onions, carrots, and celery in there. And then we're just going to get this browned up. All right, we got our sausage browned up, so now I'm just going to transfer that out of the way, leaving the grease in the pot. And if you don't want this much of the grease left behind, you really only need about a tablespoon. I'm just going to leave it all because, it's all flavor. It's all going to work for us. And that's not, yeah, that's more than a tablespoon, but still, we're keeping it. All right, we're also going to throw in a couple pads of butter here. Once those melt down, we're going to be adding our veggies to the pot. We are still at medium heat. All right. And now our carrots, onion, and celery are going to go in. And we're going to let this go. We're going to do about 5 minutes with this. Get these softened up just a bit. Give it a quick stir to make sure everything gets a little bit of that oil on it. Once we hit the 5 minute mark, that's when we're going to add our garlic. We're only going to have our garlic in there for about the last 30 seconds to a minute just to get the fragrances opening up on that garlic. And we're probably going to use about 3 cloves. And that'll do it for us. While this is going, we need to go ahead and get our chicken broth measured out. We're using 5 cups of chicken broth here. And I didn't make any, but we'll be using this unsalted. Everything I do is generally unsalted for the most part. So you can keep your sodium levels in check, add what you want to it, not what comes in those boxes. But this has got about a couple more minutes. We're going to go ahead and get that measured up. All right. We're pretty much there now. Let's go ahead and add our garlic and give this another 45 seconds or so. And I said we're going to be using 3 cloves, but I'm not actually using fresh garlic, so we're just going to be guesstimating here 3 cloves. And I don't mind garlic, so if that's more, it's fine by me. All right. It's smelling real good now. It does not take long for that garlic to open up. Now we're going to add our flour. We got 3 tablespoons of flour. And we're going to let this go for at least 2 more minutes, just so you can get that raw flour taste cooked out of it before we start adding our chicken broth. You don't want to go right away with it. And you don't want that flour to burn. We're still on medium heat here, so we're not super high. Once we start adding that chicken broth, we're just going to do a little at a time until we get it all in there. Start adding this broth. And as you're adding this, you want to be scraping the bottom of your pot there. I don't want to lose that flavor that's sticking. Once you add that flour, it starts to stick to the bottom there just a little bit. As you add your broth, you'll be able to get some of that up. And at this point, you've pretty much got everything up off the bottom of the pan. Again, we're just slowly incorporating this broth in there, that flour. basically once it starts to thicken just a little bit each time, that's when I'm adding more. Now that we got the broth fully incorporated in there, we're going to start adding, we're going to do our heavy cream, our soy sauce, hot sauce, and our seasonings to the pot. And you can take this one kind of slow too. I want to add it all right away. And you can definitely cut this back if you want to about half a cup, just to cut back on some of that cream, but man, I'm all about it. We're going full comfort food here tonight. And that was 1 cup of heavy cream that we just put in. Now we got our hot sauce and soy sauce. It was a teaspoon each here. And then our seasonings, we got black pepper, basil, oregano, parsley, and some ground mustard. I won't be doing salt until the end. I like everything to come together first. And then I check the salt levels and salt to taste. Now that we got all that added, we're going to crank up our heat just a little bit because we do want this to boil. Bring it up to a boil, then we're going to take it down to a simmer, and that's when we'll be adding our potatoes. And we'll see you back when we get there. All right, we are finally coming to a boil. So we're going to start bringing this down. We don't want it to boil too hard. We just want to get it back down to a simmer. And we're going to add our potatoes now. I got a mix of yellow and red potatoes here. You can use pretty much whatever you want. I just wouldn't suggest russets because they just break down too much. You know, the red potatoes and the Yukon Golds, the yellow potatoes, they hold their shape just a little bit better. All right. And depending on how you cut your potatoes, how you diced them, you're going to go at least, once we get back up to a simmer after we added those potatoes, at least 15 minutes, anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes, just depending on what size you cut them in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 15 minutes, then we're going to check them. We're wanting a fork tender potato here. And go from there. Start at 15 and go from there. All right, we've been 15 minutes and our potatoes are nice and fork tender. So at this point, we're going to add our sausage back in. Let that come together just a little bit. And at this point, if you want just a little bit of extra richness to it, like I certainly do, we got about 8 ounces of cheddar cheese shredded up. I'm going to take this down to low and add that to it. At that point, we're checking the salt level, and we are done. It is ready to serve. So we're going to go down to low. Get our cheese. I'm just going to give this a stir, let that cheese melt. And my pot is almost not quite up to the task here, so we got to be a little careful. All right, that has come together nicely. All right, after checking the salt levels, for my taste, it's already right where it needs to be. So I'm going to leave it alone and just let people judge for themselves when they add it to their bowl. Now, one thing of note here, I used a mild Italian sausage. Personally, I would use a hot with this. I think it adds just a perfect touch of spiciness to it. My wife, however, does not agree with me, so we went with a mild. And I'll be doing that myself to my bowl with either some cayenne pepper or chili flakes. And it is done and ready to serve. And if you got some crusty bread to add to this, it makes a perfect meal for a cold winter's day. And that's it. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed.